Hello there, it's Mr. Ferguson again, and we're going to go through the two methods for multiplication, and we're going to, similar to the addition and subtraction, put them side by side because these are two methods to figure out the same calculation, and we want to work towards just using the short method. It's a lot more compact, less digits, less things to write, less space to take up. But the grid method is really useful because it really helps children understand what's actually happening with the short method. Instead of just learning a method, not understanding what's going on underneath it, and it's using similar concepts to the expanded method for addition and subtraction. So what we need to do is, first of all, with the grid method, is a little bit of a layout, a little bit of a grid we need to draw. And this can be quite simple. Children often get the ruler out and draw these big boxes and lines. The grid method just needs to be nice and simple. But what we need to do is just leave enough space for our answer. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put my I'm multiplying by 8. I'm going to put my 8 here. And then with my 54, I'm going to partition it into its parts, but I need to leave enough space there for my answer to go in underneath. And then next to my 50, I'm going to put my 4. So that's about how much space you're going to need, because when we multiply those numbers together, we're going to end up with a 3-digit number. And we do give children grids, you know, with it already written out for them. Eventually, again, while they get the hang of it, they can work their grids out, how much space they need to leave themselves by themselves. And then with our short method, it's laid out a little bit more like the compact method for addition. So again, we line our columns up. This one we've only got 10s and 1s, and we line them up like this. Now it's a lot quicker, less things to write and less things to draw with our short method. But the grid method is really useful to learn, like I said, because you're seeing what's actually happening. So we'll start off with 8 times 50. Now my scaffold along the side, I've got my times tables ready because I know I'm multiplying the 50 and the 4 by 8. And it's useful to have that, but also we need to have a little bit of knowledge of multiplying a number by a multiple of 10. And a phrase we use with the children is always if I know. So if I know 8 times 5, then I know 8 times 50. So I can look at my scaffold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 8 times 5 is 40. Therefore, 8 times 50 would be 10 times bigger. So we can just write the answer to 8 times 5 in there, and I know that it's going to be 10 times bigger. So the digit's going to shift over, and my 0 is going to become my placeholder. 8 times 50, 400, and then we're going to go to our 4. 8 times 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 32. And the last part is then to put them back together, to group those numbers back together. And most of the time, they're quite nice numbers to just bring back together. Occasionally, we might need to go back and use that compact method for addition. But actually, if you see you've got your 400 and your 32, bring that together, 432. Now it does seem a little bit long-winded, lots of steps, but this part is really important that children understand that the 8 times 50 part, and it really helps when we go into doing long multiplication, things like that. When we're multiplying much larger numbers, they need to understand that when they're doing 8 times 5, like we have the short method, they're not actually doing 8 times 5, they are doing 8 times 50. So when we apply it to our short method, 8 times 4, we've got over here 32, we're going to need to use a carry here. So our 2 goes there, and our carry goes underneath here. I wonder what mistake children often make doing this, and this is again maybe one of the pitfalls of the short method, is that it's got that opportunity to forget that carry, and we might see children write, okay, 8 times 5, yeah, I know that, whizzing through, and we forget that little 3 down there. Like I showed you on another video, I often say to children, well, get your green pen out and correct that. You can cross that out, put a 3, and that just helps them to reflect on what mistake they made. So we've got the same answer, we've got 432, but this one's a little bit more of a layout issue. There is a mistake, there can be mistakes where children forget to multiply that by 10, forget to multiply the 40 by 10, and they end up with 1432. But over here we've got the opportunity to, you know, not line things up properly or forget that carry. But like I said, we want to end up going towards a short method. I'm just going to show you another one for a 3-digit number by a 1-digit number. And I'm going to show you why, as we get to larger numbers, the grid method becomes a little bit less efficient, because I'm going to start it over here. We're multiplying by 4. I'm going to need 4 boxes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 3 there. I need 2 there. So I've got quite a lot of space I'm taking up for this method, because I'm going to put my 300 in here. 386. So I'm partitioning my 386 again, and I'm going to multiply each part by 4. And then over here, it's nice and compact. The short method doesn't take as long, doesn't take up as much space. So now I can go through step by step, and we can use my if I knows again. I can use my scaffold. If I know 4 times 3 is 12, then I know 4 times 300 is 1200, 1200. Then I go to my 8, 4 times 8, 32, times it by 10, 10 times bigger, 320, 4 times 6, 24. And then what I can do is bring all those back together. And this is again where children might make a few mistakes, but we don't have any carries here, so we should just look at our ones. We've got 4, we've got 2 lots of 20, so that would be a 4, so I'm bringing my 20 and my 20 together, those two. And then my hundreds, I'm going to have a 2 and a 3, my 1, I'm going to bring up my 1000, the ones column I'm going to bring over. So I end up with 1544. Now when we look at the short method, hopefully we're going to end up with that same answer. So I'm going to put my multiplication sign there, and I'm going to start with 4 times 6, okay, yeah, 24. And again, like I showed you before, I don't want to forget I've got that carry down there. 4 times 8, 32, add my carry, 34. And 4 times 3, 12, add my carry, I've got the same answer there. That took me a lot quicker than laying all that grid method out. But the grid method is brilliant because it shows the children that they're not just doing 4 times 3 or 4 times 8, they're doing 4 times 300, 4 times 800. I've got another video that goes through even more of the short multiplication method. So if you want a little bit more on that, there's one that's a little bit more advanced. But this one, again, I'm showing you both methods to see the sort of benefits of each one and the pitfalls of each one. So I hope that this video has helped with the grid method and the short method for multiplication.